All right.
So here is where we're at. Let me get this started. All right. So normally, how I start most of these off is just by asking a few basic questions to just kind of get a bit of background, um, to like kind of what your overall goals and expectations are to get out of the session. Just so we kind of approach it from an angle where we're being like really proactive towards a specific idea that you're trying to learn.
That makes sense.
Um, so what I want to pull up is your lesson here because I usually have a few basic questions. So looking over a set from an online tournament, looking for an experienced player's opinion on things you should work on or immediate changes that you can make to your gameplay. Um, what do you think is the biggest opportunity for growth reviewing this set could provide for you? Understanding gaps in your gameplay, matchup analysis, etc. as examples. I think understanding the gaps in my gameplay would be a good idea. I feel like I have a rough idea of what I want to do in this matchup, Marth versus Falco, but get confused when it comes to the specifics and the best time to use my tools. I also really appreciate any advice on optimizing punish game. Um, been
Mhm.
playing for almost 5 years, never been PR'd, but mostly played online. So PR is going to be, not really something. Um, so with that in mind, we're looking to kind of make a bit of an optimization for, your punish game,
Mhm.
trying to figure out, how to play the matchup a little bit more efficiently, maybe. Um, Additionally, what I would probably say, what we're going to try to focus on in this sense is you're probably looking for pretty much pretty big macro device where you're just looking for your biggest opportunity areas and trying to
Yeah.
tackle those. How do you
Yeah.
overall feel in terms of that? Do you feel like maybe your punish game is like a little lacking in a way then maybe?
I think it. I think it kind of might be because there's definitely some times where I just like I get a grab or I get this opening, but I don't really do too much off of it. Sometimes I do, but it's not super consistent, and maybe I'm just not approaching it the right way. Um,
Okay. What do you think is your self-identified cause of that? Is it maybe you have a more difficult time getting the punishes on the more complex setups and follow-ups, and the easy ones that are just kind of like up their up tilt, and some other simple flow chart stuff like comes by you easy? Or do you think it's like you're having a tough idea like visualizing or getting to the next step from your
hmm,
starter? So your starter a lot of
yeah.
times would be like grab or like a raw up air neutral and stuff like that.
Right.
Is it more something like that? Or like once you get the starter going, like what's kind of the goal maybe?
I think. I think I get the starter, and then I can maybe keep it like going a bit. But I feel like sometimes I go for these maybe not like these great choices. Like sometimes I'll like do up throw down air when I feel like I probably should have just like gone for something else or like maybe like deal with slide offs in a certain way and then like I didn't deal with it correctly or at least that's for platforms. Um FD is a lot more straightforward and yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Maybe
it.
it's also just general conversions that I might be missing out on.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean in terms of that makes a lot of sense. Give me 1 second. Okay. So with that all in mind, let's kind of jump into it here and just try to be on the lookout for those sort of things. So this is a like online tournament set. So we start on Battlefield here. Do you happen to remember like what the striking was looking like for this?
I think we both agreed to Battlefield start and then after that he counterpicked Dreamland twice and then I counterpicked FD, and then I
Hmm.
end up losing on FD. And sometimes when I lose on FD, I just switch to FOD because maybe like I'm like I feel like you get a lot of value on FD if you land your chain grabs and stuff. But I was like, if I'm sometimes I'm flipping a bit, I just switch to FOD.
Okay. All right. So let's get the start off here. So a lot of the times when you're doing your initial start against Falco in this matchup, it can be hard to get to the ground position in a favorable way. Obviously,
Right.
because he has laser and stuff like that. A lot of the times, I do like to kind of start off from the side platform and wait for him to establish like control over the ground, and then try to play like a mix up of like threatening the middle of the stage, so he's not really, you know, um, overly eager to fight in this area because he doesn't want to get like converted into a grab, and then I get to the ground. Because normally, once you start getting to this like little laser mix up, you can get a little stuck.
Yeah.
Um, the thing you do right afterwards, though, with the power shield is definitely really strong. Setting up like early, an early position that you're controlling with your power shield and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So, in general, the thing that you need to keep in mind about when you power shield Falco's lasers is
Yeah.
that even if you don't get anything crispy out of it, like you didn't get out of your shield in the most favorable way here, especially the power shields that end up hitting the Falco back. If you look about right here, so he's stunned by laser and he's actionable right here, and you're actionable right here as well. So
Yeah.
you guys are pretty much in a sense like even in this situation in terms of frame advantage. Like no one person got to encroach on space during someone else's lag for free.
Right.
So a lot of the times you have a few different choices here. Depending on the spacing, you can choose to do an option like this where you're barrel stuffing and you try to rush down his space, immediately just try to flail out a hitbox.
Yeah.
But you want to keep in mind of the distance. The distance here is really reactable in a lot of ways. And in this spot overall, you put yourself in a pretty losing position just based on the distance purely alone. Like
Gotcha.
it may not seem like
That
it
makes
in
sense.
game, but
Yeah.
we're dealing with like if you look at Marth, we're dealing with like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 character length difference between you two.
I
That's a lot of
see.
that's a lot of space in between. Um,
Yeah.
this space honestly is even further than your furthest like possible dash dance, if that even gives you a better idea of visualizing it. So doing an option like this approaching Nair is like really, really aggressive. This option's really strong when they have less mobility options of going backwards, and like CC isn't as good because they'll slide off to the ledge or something like that.
Yeah. Actually, I kind of already try to I sometimes kind of like try to decide whether I want to play aggressive or maybe just keep dash dancing,
Mm.
but maybe like the current spacing I'm using is a little far because I usually try to space around like a dash like maybe like a dash attack around that spacing because but maybe that's a little far for like comfort and I should.
Well, dash attack is a little different in that instance because that actually doesn't make you leave the ground, and it also beats high lasers, which
Mhm.
in this laser height that he did, it wouldn't necessarily beat it, but you would have scooped him up before he would have gotten it off. Um, the other thing about it though is that like dash tech loses to like an instant dare here, which
Yeah,
like is totally an option that could have came out from the Falco.
right.
I think the main thing I'm just trying to instill is that like the most important thing that you want to keep in mind is that like when you're dealing with lasers, if you get a favorable situation where you reflect the laser back in
Yeah.
any circumstance, you just want to be really hyper aware of the spacing that this happened in because it really changes the uh, option tree of what you can do from it. I think in this position, playing passive and holding the stage that you have is the better play, and when you get more of a more fluid power shield, one that you could like way dash down tilt out of, or like, short
Uh,
hop out of,
yeah, yeah.
that's where you kind of want to start encroaching on space because that allows you to set up a more aggressive, a more aggressive advancement onto the stage instead of like, in a sense, a Hail Mary at 0%, which it just has so many counterplays.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
That's what I noticed when I watched it by myself. So we're going to be reviewing that a lot when it comes to your laser play in general.
Okay.
Okay. So in situations like this, I'm not going to be too hypercritical about some of these spots like this, because this is, in all sense of the word, just more of a reactionary and comfortability of this position. Like, you get the up tilt here.
Yeah.
One thing that I always tell people is that you have to be kind of aware of like what options you're really capable of doing at your skill level, or even if you are like a really, really highly skilled player, being aware of what you can do at that time. And it really depends, and it kind of shows a little bit in this set where you kind of run into these same situations where it's this really close encounter where you have a lot of advantage, but you just don't know exactly what to do with it. What I tell a
Um,
lot of people
mhm.
is that a strategy you can do, which can work, but people can take advantage of it because the more space and distance you give somebody, the more they can take advantage of it and make mix-ups and stuff like that. In a position like this, if you're not like, oh, I hit this up tilt, but I'm not 100% on like capitalizing off this tech chase position, you can just go a little bit more to center stage and just hold that position. And you can just say, if Falco techs this way, I get a free punish. If he doesn't, he's in the corner and I'm favored in the next engagement that I might be able to capitalize off of. Like, it's kind of a weird way to look at it, because I'm essentially telling you, don't actually try to go for a punish here.
Yeah.
But I noticed a little bit during this set, and this is maybe like a recognition you can do in future times that you play. If you're recognizing a lot of these positions where it's requiring like a lot of reactionary choices from you, you can just kind of choose the more safe stage oriented choice, where it's like, I'm gonna run to the end of this platform here, and if Falco tech rolls in, I get a punish because it's in a range where I have so much time to react. And if he techs
Yeah.
in, text to the edge or text in place, I'm here, Falco's there, we play the game from here now.
Right. Yeah, that definitely makes sense because it's just like it's a lot more like guaranteed like you get a lot more guaranteed stuff out of it as opposed to like kind of trying to make this hard tech situation work.
Yeah, it's not so much that you're getting more guaranteed, it's just, I think what it more so is that instead of putting yourself in the situation where you can possibly get reversaled when, like, in your heart of heart, if you play a couple of stocks in the first game of a set and you're like, okay, I'm not like 100%. So I need to adapt a play style that like can allow me to kind of like charge up a little bit and like warm up to
Yeah,
playing. And I
that
think
makes sense.
I think in this situation you'll see a little bit kind of pointed out where we see a handful of these. But
Mhm.
anyway, we get reversaled. Game proceeds from there. Hmm. Yep. One thing I would say for practice for sure, because I didn't notice this until now, your nairs, they aren't exactly done properly. So you're doing your nairs rising. There's a very
Yeah.
slight delay that you want to do to them, and there's two timings you can do. You can actually choose to do the nair really low to the ground, where you actually have to out cancel it, and that's a little bit better against CC in general.
Yeah.
Or you do the slight delay to the nair and do the auto cancel. Um, this way that the nair, you kind of want the tip of the sword to kind of be in this space instead, versus
Uh,
here, this is really high. And if you just kind of see how much airtime that you have after this nair with like not an actual active hitbox in front of you, it's about like 6 to 7 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, this isn't active at this point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you can
I
shield
see.
here.
Yeah, that's really useful to know. I know that I think during the first match, I think I saw it when I watched it back, I was like missing I was like I was only hitting with the first part of the nair and I think he like was able to punish me for it and then I started fast falling it later, I think, or maybe I
Hmm.
realized that after the set or something. But
Yeah.
I didn't know about that second timing where you don't do it rising. I usually do rising nairs for the most
Yeah.
part.
Rising Nair is definitely good for like a pretty direct aerial approach like that. Pretty much
Yeah.
exactly right there. Rising Nair is really good at dealing with. But when you're trying to space against like grounded pressure, you definitely want to delay your nair a little bit.
Hmm.
Nair is a useful tool for like really close range pressure that you need to space away from. And then forward air is good for like those more short to mid range engagements where you can short hop and really delay your drift and timing.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And the reason why you do fair in those positions is because of the arc that it goes. It starts from behind and top of you and then goes in front of you versus nair is immediately in front of you.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see what you do with invincibility. Going on side plat, light shielding, pretty good. Um, so in this
I
position
usually.
here, go
Mhm.
ahead.
I was gonna say I usually hold the light shield. Sometimes I should drop if I think they're gonna grab, but I just kind of that's wrong.
Right. I think you were going for a down air here, is what you were trying.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of this, your percentage actually really like warrants that you can just like wave dash off to the ledge and then like play a ledge situation if you want, or just full hop to the top plat.
Right.
Because you're not going to really eat a lot of damage. I think one thing here to keep note of is that when you want a light shield, if you want to actually not be in a ledge situation, which I think is really the only reason people do this, is that they don't want to play a ledge spot.
Yeah.
They kind of want to play like a really safe position that isn't the ledge.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
super comfortable in my ledge dashes or stuff like that.
you should probably be facing away from the stage. And the reason why you want to do that is because you actually don't have the option to take the center of the stage in a really fast way from this position easily. Because if you wave dash to the left, you're going to
Yeah.
teeter, and you have to actually input like a dash or a move off. And then you can only defend yourself with back air, which is good,
Oh,
but you don't have the best like conversion off of that. Where if you're
right.
actually facing away from the stage, what can happen is that you can wave dash backwards to the left side of the platform, input a forward air, and instantly fast fall. You're in the center of the stage. You can be holding ASDI down, and you can potentially, knock the Falco up if he's in the middle of doing an aerial, get like a grab follow up and start a combo from there.
Yeah.
The nice thing as well is that if he were to push you more to the right side of the platform, if he slides you all the way off, you're instantly actionable, which you can choose to try to set yourself up to grab the ledge or fight from that position. Um, and that way you have a little bit more agency on where you want to go versus like facing this way. You can't really get to the center of the stage in like a really positive manner. You kind of have to fight from a pretty down position.
Yeah.
So that's just one thing to keep in mind.
Oh, actually, I kind of have a. Do you have like a sort of? I'm kind of like not really sure what to do in this one specific situation that kind of sometimes happens when I'm playing with Falcons in general, where you like power shield the laser, but they jump over the laser.
So power shield the laser, they jump over the laser. Is this a reference to something that kind of happened? Or
Oh,
is
I
this
think
a question?
I think he. Never mind. I thought he jumped over it for a second, but he just ran under it. But that is still something that happens. I think a decent amount of the time when I play this guy in general.
Okay, so you're saying they laser low, you power shield, and then they do another laser, which ends up hopping over the first, is kind of the
Yeah,
situation.
yeah. I'm not really 100% sure of what to do in situations like that, and I think that's sort of like one of the things like I felt like was like one of those things I didn't know what to do in this matchup in general.
So the main mix-up you could do is once you reflect the laser, if you have a read that that's the setup he's going for, which
Uh huh.
obviously has a pretty big tell based on how low he lasers, you can
Yeah.
like instantly wave dash down and then like do a few different things. You could F smash. That should generally beat the timing of the next laser because he has to kind of do a high one with kind of no fast fall.
Right.
You could jab, which is the safest one. It should pretty much stuff it out. You're not going to get the most reward out of it. Um, in other positions, you can try to nair, but it really depends on the timing of like when the laser actually bounces off your shield and when he starts up his next shot.
Yeah.
Um, But typically doing it like from a grounded position is not bad. Like if you have enough stage, like you're kind of like in center, like you could power shield the first one, wave dash back, hold down, and then like down tilt. So you
Right.
catch the next laser and maybe trade with the laser. So you kind of have like a lagless down tilt, or he lasers high, you snipe his feet, and then like you can try to do a mix up, a mix up there where you try to go for grab or like space a fair from that distance at that point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So that's the nair we were talking about earlier. Okay. So this is a core concept that is just like the general fundamentals of actually you know having a mix up game pretty much, right?
Yeah.
um you get this position. This is the very first time you actually get a power shield, and you like favorably move out of it, like you don't like get all stuck up, right?
Right.
um this is where you immediately, once again, we look at the distance. Like we are 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 character lengths away. So this is still really far, a very reactable range for sure.
Right. Yeah.
The very first time you win this engagement, you choose to blow it all on like pretty much a read. Um, which isn't bad in concept because there is a great reward to this and minor
Mhm.
risk. You do eat a lot of damage from like Dare and then Shine Pillar combos from here, but the reward is really fantastic because you can either choose to throw him off stage for a Gimp or start a combo, which, pretty much kills Falco.
Yeah.
But I think, when you kind of get in this position here, a wave dash straight down, like in this spot, or wave dash back is like pretty good to like be like, okay, what does my opponent do after this spot right here? Like, what's the observable thing that I can see? And like, he just goes for directly a like defensive shielding position, which was pretty bad by him, honestly, because if you literally just inputted your grab later, you would have hit him.
Yeah.
Um, but in this regard, I think the idea of like your first actual win, unless it's a guaranteed thing, which this most certainly was not, you want to be a little bit more observant of like what defensive options your opponent chooses when they're on the back foot, which is where you had him here.
Okay.
That way he is more exploitable in the instances where you don't have guaranteed follow-ups or guaranteed pressure that you can apply. When you think about like follow-ups, pressure, and everything like that in Melee, the stuff that's guaranteed, for the most part, DI, SDI, all this influences it. But for the most part, your opponent can't do anything about it. It is
Yeah.
entirely your choice and diction of what happens next in the game. Do I want to send you up? Do I want to send you off? Do I want to re put you on the ground to tech chase you to rack up damage and set up for a more favorable thing, etc. The way you can have an ultimate edge over a lot of different players, and what separates a lot of like decent players versus really great ones, is that really great players have the super big consistency in their guaranteed stuff, but they also have a fundamental understanding of how to apply pressure and like the things that aren't real. And this is like a good example of that, where having a fundamental understanding of how you can force your will or punish the habits or choices of your opponent when things aren't in a static guaranteed position is how you can get extra mileage, you know in the instances where things aren't free. You're not getting an up throw juggle combo, you're getting a raw hit in neutral.
Yeah.
um
That makes sense.
that's like a pretty big deal, especially in this matchup, because you know it is kind of the shield grab simulator matchup, but you do have to sometimes get a raw hit and make a conversion off of it. This up air was nice. I just want to note that like here we can just pivot F smash instead. That takes the agency away from the Falco, where he could have actually DI'd maybe a little bit better to not get set up for Tipper here.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
You just want to keep that in mind. If they do no DI on up throw at like 90-ish, you can just pivot tipper that DI and it should kill. Or at least set up for a really favorite edge guard. So one thing that I will say about your recoveries is what I noticed, and especially this situation. With Marth, and I learned this as a pretty big lesson the very first time I played Chillin' Dude in 2016.
Uh-huh.
Pretty much long story short, I was beating Chillin's ass, like literally 3-stocking every single game in a best of 5, and I lost 3-0. And the
Oh,
reason I
damn.
lost 3-0 is because I was just so stubborn about my recoveries and I wanted to grab the ledge instead of sometimes you have to take a hit to have another chance of living. And this is like kind of the main thing where like you're up in a stock advantage here, and Falco has setups to do damage or kill you when you land on stage at these percentages, but you have
Yeah.
agency in like mix-ups you can do. Like if he does dare, you can hold away and like not get double dared. If he does back air, you can omps attack that, and you know if he is good enough to react to it, he's probably going to kill you after that. But now you know don't omps attack against this guy.
Right.
Like there's a lot more that you can do besides like having to force yourself to grab ledge, and a lot of the options you're doing here are like really panicky for that, where it's like you could have just did your double side B, waited to see if he's going to instant aerial off the ledge, and he's not. You just land on stage, you take your hit, you get another chance to make it back versus like guaranteed losing.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, the ledge is always nice and you should try to fight for it when you can. But you know, the circumstance you were at, you were already up. This is a favored matchup for you. So like you don't mind going back to a 0% you know, engagement.
Yeah.
So if you can live as long as you can to get another opportunity to do more damage, I think it's better to do that than try to risk it all in a position where you don't need to. You're not down, things aren't going bad for you.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Good grab.
Yeah, that was kind of one of those situations where I feel like I had the grab
Mhm.
and then I just kind of didn't do anything with it when I definitely could have killed him off of it.
Yeah, I mean this is a perfect percent. So your problem here is you don't shield stop. So you have very little control of your actual momentum out of your short hops in these tight situations because the input for here, if you're not going to shield stop, is really precise. You pretty much have to
Oh,
do it almost perfectly. Versus if you turn around and you shield stop with a dash to about here, you can almost cover everything with a good jump timing. So the timing that you jumped here was perfect, but the problem is you're too far forward that your falling up air does not hit. If you
right.
input
Yeah.
it your up air sooner, yeah, you may have still hit him here, but he was probably too invincible. I think it was more so the distance. That's a big issue here.
Yeah.
So shield stopping is pretty important for platform tech chasing. It gives you that additional buffer for accuracy.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I usually don't shield sub.
Yeah, it's
Would be a
really
good idea
important
to
for Marv's combo game. It adds
yeah.
a tremendous amount of accuracy to it that allows you to do those really brutal punishes. Okay. So this is like where we're talking about like our little optimizations. We get a
Uh-huh.
really, really big juggle here. So these are a lot of the few things that you could have changed multiple things. And I'm just going to kind of list them off to give you an idea to think about. So here, there's multiple ways you can go about this. You can do a short hop, full drift in, hit him with a backwards hit of up air, make him just stall in this place, and then go for more juggles or like a nair send off. You can short hop, instant double jump to get a tipper up air in this direction as well. He has no double jump. You can let him land on the side platform and then tech chase from there. You can forward air to put him on this side plat. You can forward air to put him on the top platform and tech chase from there. You could even Waveland on the side plat here, see if he wants to tech roll to the ledge. Because what a lot of people have a bad habit of is that since slide off is so popular against Marth nowadays, they have a bad habit of tech rolling on the edge of platforms and like still inputting the actual slide off input. If
Right.
you kind of catch him doing that here, you can like kill him with like an F smash at 90%, even if it's not a tipper, because he's literally holding down and away.
Yeah, I
Um,
actually kind of like doing that sometimes when they try to slide off like towards off stage on, it tends them in a really bad spot.
yeah,
But yeah, that's a good idea.
but that's just a handful of things. I think the up air you did here is fine. Where if you're going to go this direction, where you're doing a soft up air, I'm going to shield here, and I'm going to shield drop react up air from here. I'm not going to grab because grab is really, really underpowered unless you're going to F throw, F smash, just instantly F smash. But you
Yeah,
instead do up air, which is probably the worst option to do besides like down throw or something.
right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's just give you an idea of like a lot of different choices you could have made. Nice. Good nair. Cool dash attack. Great reaction. That was awesome. That was great.
Yeah,
Everything about that
thanks.
was fantastic. It was a good nair. I like the dash attack because it's really, really rewarding to hit a dash attack here. And also, like, this actually doesn't lose to roll because you're actionable by the time roll happens because you're so on top of the actual tech chase situation.
Right.
Good crouch. And then I just like the F smash to finish it. It was cool. So I like the aggressive jump in. This is a good mix up that I like to do very often against Falco. They're trying to control space, and I try to charge in there with fair and to grab. Unfortunately, you trade with the nair, which isn't the end of the world. Good dash back. You don't dash back grab a lot. You like to use nair a lot,
Yeah, I.
which isn't like nair's not
Mhm.
bad in the correct uses, but your opponent is giving you a lot of grabbing opportunities.
Like in terms of grabbing opportunities, do you mean like he kind of like goes in and it's like very like I could just like dash back and grab it, or
Yeah.
like
Like
I see.
honestly, I tell most people like even though like Marth I think is an incredibly hard character to play at a high level, but
Mhm.
he has easy and free shit, and like don't just kind of like shy away from that because it's considered newbie or like it's not the most revered like style, but like dash dance grabbing is just still really really good. Like a lot of times when I do play people, like I will see like, can you deal with just dash dance grab? Because if I don't have to do anything else, like I can just do basic aerial mix ups. But dash
Yeah,
dance grab is like literally the end of you. I will do that against people.
that makes sense. I definitely get that because I realized at a certain point, like, oh, I should just like ask smash when I'm edge guarding, and but I think at least for me, I wouldn't mind using more dash back grab, but maybe I just have a little bit of a tough time like reacting to whether it's like a. Sometimes I feel like I can get caught off guard. Like if my finger's on Z, I can't really press R to power shield too easily because that's the button I use to power shield with. So I
Yeah.
feel like maybe it's a little tough on the reactions, but I think it'll be better if I just
Yep.
get practice it out a bit more.
Of course. Of course. Yeah. So in this position, I don't know if you were necessarily doing it for the interest of hitting, but you definitely in this position where they're doing normal get up, you just want to up be as close as possible to the stage to get an SDI into a wall tech.
I see.
It's the main
I
objective
was
there.
Yeah. As soon as he hit me with that down smash, I was like, I should have gone low, maybe try to dodge it or something.
Well, it's
In my
not that you're
head.
gonna dodge it. You can't dodge it because he's gonna get hit by the up B. His intention
Oh,
is to down smash you with ASDI down. So
yeah.
when they do this setup, your objective at that point is to get as close as possible to the wall and try to get the tech off.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Good nair. I like the F smash. Yep. So it's interesting. I see you standing here, and standing after this kind of like knockdown off stage isn't really conducive to how Marth's edgeguard flowchart generally is. Like, you should generally always be holding down here unless you have a giant read that's like double jump side B.
Yeah.
And in that case, if that's your rationale of why you stand here, you should be moving already at this point, and you should be short hopping off stage and like swatting that out of the air. If you're going to choose to actually play an edge guard here, like down tilt should be the first coverage because it's an option select.
Right.
You cover the ledge, and then when they try to side B through you and hit you with it, you OMS attack the side B and you grab and punish them. Or if the position doesn't call for it, where you can't actually punish them, then you play a defensive like mix up from there. Like if he lands like pretty far over here and you can't actually punish it after the OMS attack, then like you shield or try to nair in place, whatever it may be from this position.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you
Yeah.
think maybe it would have been like a better idea to do like? Do you think maybe I should have tried to go up for a runoff there in that situation?
I
I'm
don't
just a
think you
little
would have had enough time.
Mhm.
I think honestly, based on how you were doing it, like, because I don't want to look at it as hindsight, because I think the way you were playing that situation, you had no intention of covering low at all. You thought he was
Yeah, I
going to go
did.
high, but regardless of that, I think you made the incorrect choice of covering high anyway. Because if you were
Gotcha.
going to cover high, you should have been out there to hit it. Because
Okay,
that's what you read. You weren't trying to play like an actual edge guard situation. You were reading one option only.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Because it's like in that position, if you just down tilt it, then like everything you did afterwards with like that short hop fair would have made sense.
Right.
It's like very much like when you're playing the strategy of a matchup. Like your logic has to be consistent throughout when you're in a situation. Like you can't do one thing and then like all of a sudden you're like, okay, well now I'm gonna do this option instead.
That makes
Where
sense.
good roll. Yeah, and that's the position where Nair is actually not as good. So if we look where we are, he is going to come in, but you have plenty of time to retreating backwards and do timing mix-ups with fair and up air. And up air would have been absolutely ruinous here. Like a
Right.
delayed up air, like pretty much get you the stock. Like getting that kind of up air is really, really juicy. So that's just like, recognizing the situations where Nair is actually called for. It's more of those closer engagements like that. And that was a good fair spot. That
Makes
was pretty
sense.
much unchallengeable by him because he was not in a proper position to lay down a laser to interrupt it.
Yeah.
Yep. And now your opponent is getting more proactive about countering light shield on side plat. So at this juncture, like if I were to lose this situation like this because he literally engaged with the direct intention of beating this option, it's time to do something else next time around.
Gotcha. One good options like going to ledge. Is there any other that maybe come to mind?
You can go to top platform, and if he lands on top platform, you can shield drop on reaction, or you can roll.
Okay.
Like top platform is a little bit harder to do something like that because you generally have to commit a double jump to it. So you try
Yeah.
to get him off of the heaven platform, and then you get to the top platform with a shield. But then you can get intercept and sniped. So it's not like a one size fit all kind of solution. It's just more so like you have to be very proactive in changing what you're doing, because if you do play against an opponent who's aware of like how to beat an option that you're consistently spamming, then like you need to be proactive in changing what options you use.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at this, because I want to kind of talk about this. I notice very often, and I don't know if you do this intentionally just because it is easier, you only really power shield with dashback.
Oh yeah, I do only sometimes I'll go for a power shield, but not often because I'm always like I'm not if he does a low laser then it's like too hard for me to do, so I usually do mostly just should I be going for those more like standing power shields?
Yeah, you pretty much never want to put your back towards Falco in this matchup unless it's for the direct intention of dashback grabbing. Um, Typically, when you're like power shielding backwards, it's really weak. The only thing you can do is like wave dash towards them, but then you also have to wait to turn around after the wave dash is completed,
Right. Yeah.
which kind of happens in this situation and like get you a grab, but like he's not really amazing and he shields very often after this situation. Like he shouldn't be shielding here.
Yeah, if you like maybe did a down air, I
If
just
he
get
does
hit
a
by
retreating
that.
down air, like this just beats your aggression.
Yeah.
Versus like you're supposed to have a more dominating position off this power shield. It's supposed to be more uh like you're facing forward and now you're short hopping at this juncture. Right when you're wave dashing. Now you're short hopping. He's stunned. Now you're here. Now you're tipper fairing on his shield, or you're even doing like a tomahawk grab or something like that.
I see. Yeah, that does sound a lot stronger.
Yeah. When you're facing backwards, it just makes the option of how you're dealing with this like a lot harder. So let's talk about this. So this is the optimization part once again. So slide off, it actually is pretty decent at beating up air. There are positions that you can play where even if they slide it off, like you can play around it, like dash backing or down tilting their landing, but you have to
Yeah.
get a really, really juicy low up air. Tipper Fair is actually really good at beating slide off in a lot of circumstances, and this would be the exact circumstance. Now, you do, in fact, do Tipper Fair, but you do one
Uh-huh.
with a rising on the side plat, so you actually get no follow up here. You even try to grab.
Yeah. I
Tipper
like to F
Fair,
smash, but not when I like to F smash without the double jump, but he was so far away that I feel like I couldn't make it.
you
If
definitely
that
couldn't, but
yeah.
I'm going to show you my favorite combo, pretty much the
Mhm.
Stango combo, my favorite combo of how I like to deal with this. So, this is the situation where if I read that my opponent is going to tech all the way to the right here, I'm going to delay a little bit where I actually jump. I'm going to dash pretty much a little bit more to here. If I
Uh-huh.
read a tech to here, I'm going to short hop and space a tipper fair to hit in this space. And just as we see with his exact DI, he's going to pop directly up. I'm in this space down here. Instant double jump, up air. He goes here, I up air, then I tipper F smash him. Instant double jump, he goes off stage, I neutral B him. I forward air him again, he goes off stage, I try to Ken combo him, or I just raw down air him out of it. That's a really good fair to look out for people who spam a lot of slide off, especially in this position, because that's the kind of DI he's holding, where he's trying to
Yeah.
slide off like an up air or something here.
Yeah, that makes
Where,
sense. That sounds really useful, yeah.
yeah, the tipper fair is really good, but just the same way how the actual Ken combo functionally works, your Ken combos are generally going to be the most consistent when you hit the fairs as high as possible. Um,
Gotcha.
well, not in every instance, but that's usually how they end up getting hit. Like you hit them really high while ascending, or you hit them in the mid while ascending.
Right.
But yeah, I would say, in that same position, if you optimize that fair where it was like more of that short hop one, like I normally do there, you pretty much had game there 100%.
Right.
Yep. And this was a good read on the recovery. Very nice.
Thanks.
So now we're here. So once again, you rush into getting off the side plat. This is one thing I want you to keep in mind and kind of look at. Like you rush in, you're not in a stable position to actually fight off against lasers, and you get put into shield, which like is a thing that happens in the matchup. Like I know people will say like, oh, you should never really like kind of use your shield as a defensive thing in this matchup against like Falco shield pressure. It's just the nature of the game. You're going to be put in that position, but you want to avoid it as much as possible. There, you
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
almost jailed yourself into having to be in that position from the very start. So this is another circumstance where you're like, oh no, my ledge. Now,
What
you might have been trying to do the spacing where you don't hit the light shield, but his light shield is completely full. That is
yeah.
cope. That you're going to hit this with literally a full shield because he's been beating your ass. He hasn't shielded a single time.
Right.
So it's like, it's not very realistic to do something like that. You should have just landed on stage, take your punishment. You're going to lose your stock, very certainly. Okay. Back air. All right. This wasn't worse. I think the only thing is just being directly underneath Falco on the respawn was probably the biggest questionable thing.
Right.
Yeah, man. You just got to grab.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
got to
I see what
grab
you
that.
mean.
That is a
I do.
free ass grab.
Definitely right about that.
Yep. And this is like the prime example of why doing this dashback power shield is actually not really good. So this is the hop
Yeah.
over laser. It's like the thing that I need to have instilled in you is that the hop over laser isn't the problematic thing here. It's the fact that you're literally facing backwards. You can't do anything. You can't even front and grab.
Right.
And like that's normally like what do the Falco players always complain about when they're fighting in this matchup? They're getting fucking shield grabbed out of everything. You can't
Yeah.
even do that.
So I guess if he shoots like a yeah, okay, I see where you're coming from.
So this is this position now. So now this is tech roll in. And this is once again where I would play a little bit more reactionary because you can actually reaction tech chase this side with the tipper fair. I would see tech roll in here because I would still be in this position waiting. And you can do a few different things. You can try to execution test if he gets a really good slide off because he technically can still slide off the tipper fair here. It's really hard and it's kind of percent dependent. But
Yeah.
if you did the short hop tipper fair here, he should just get grounded and land on the platform again. You can do a full hop fair retreating away, so you just get damage and like just kind of concede to that. And if he does get grounded again, you're kind of floating in this space. So maybe if he does a get up attack, you then like, wavelength grab afterwards because he's probably shielding.
Right.
Another thing to keep in mind, and this is a thing that pretty much no Marth player does, but I theorized it a little while ago when slide off started getting really, really popular. But when they're doing the inputs of the slide off, right, in their tech roll, they have to keep holding those inputs.
Right.
What do you think
Yeah.
happens if you do this tech roll? I'm looking at you. You're holding the input, right, for slide off. What do you
Yeah.
think happens if I literally don't do anything, like for a million years? What do you think is going to happen to this character, Falco?
He's probably just gonna fall to the right with like a down air, right? Or
Not
something like
necessarily
that.
be down airing, but yeah, he's going
Or
to
like an aerial.
crouch and start walking off the platform. So one thing that I was testing a lot when I was playing against Wizard a lot, like I would actually like kind of react or like anticipate the timing of like when he's going to actually start walking off the platform, and I would just up tilt him so like he doesn't get the slide off. And like the other thing about that situation though is that it gets beat by people shielding in that position.
Gotcha.
However, I'm not terribly like afraid of somebody shielding above or like in a platform situation against me because like if I can figure out like a good position to be or like space, they'll just do like a shield drop thing and I'll just grab them and set up the situation again. So that's
Yeah.
something to think about to kind of play around with. So you just saw it there. Actually, it's great that you actually missed. So we just see him walk here and then he's just like not inputting slide off anymore. So like this would be the time where like he's here and I would just like up tilt in this spot. And he's no longer sliding off. It's not gonna work here.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, that's pretty smart. I didn't think about that. That makes sense.
Good nair. Grab. Just a little slow on it. These percentages, I actually don't like up throwing on Dream Lane because he gets instantly grounded. You pretty much have no advantage on the up throw. I
Yeah.
typically try to resign to just F throw and back, down throw tech chasing, or just
Okay.
down throw if he's going to be off stage or on the ledge. Okay. Good coverage. Shield dropping too soon. Yeah.
Yeah, I got greedy with the
you're
back
back.
end.
You're back to Falco.
Yeah.
Just not a good position to be in. Ooh, really, really swingy and spammy here. Like double jumping out of these jabs was like, that was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to be very calm in some situations because they really call for it sometimes.
That makes sense. I probably would have been fine if I just like went to ledge or something.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Worst case scenario, he hits you with maybe like a really pro ass, like really fast, like short hop nair. You don't die. You're just in an edge guard situation now.
Yeah.
Yep. Double dare. That was actually really good. I feel like Falco players don't actually really do that. They don't double dare in that fashion.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So FD. So once again, you're just facing backwards, and all you're doing is power shielding. And you're not pressuring anything. So you take space with Nair. You get the laser trade fair. Get the grab afterwards. Pretty good. Up tilt, regrab. Up air, regrab. Up air, F smash. Nice. I wouldn't grab the ledge so soon. It's definitely way too soon to be grabbing the ledge.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Should be a situation where you're flow charting with down tilt, and then like you can play a lot of different ways here. You can jump out and fair him if you're really confident. You could also do the Zane, where you wait for his descend to start, and then you full hop and start trailing with him. So like by the time he's here, you should be here, and then you guys are kind of meeting up this way. See how
Oh yeah, I
this kind of
probably
follows? So like this
that
is
does
like
sound pretty nice.
this is your full hop, and then
Mhm.
eventually he has to make a choice where he has to side B here, and you can change directions with like side B or like double jump like back air and like
Yeah,
still get like kind of a hit. But a lot of the times how it works out, depending on when you actually time the double jump, he'll side B like right now, and then you just input forward air, and he goes off and dies.
I see.
Yep. So you kind of see how my cursor follows along with the full hop. So it's like full hop like kind of starts here, roughly around here. You're at this point, and then you're descending with him, and then you're both kind of met up here.
Right. Yeah.
So that's two ways of doing it. But I think grabbing the ledge like that pretty much squandered any opportunity of you like directly pressuring him to like do a bad side B or anything.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Light shield. Yep. Good nair. See, yeah, you're swinging a little too much after the laser. It is a good option, but when they dash dance out of that, it's when it gets a lot worse.
Yeah.
So
Just trying to mix it
some
up, I guess.
yeah, sometimes you just want to wave land back or just land. Good roll. Oh, the grab.
Yeah.
Up tilt. Regrab. Up air. Regrab. So like this is this position here where it's like the way I identify with this,
Hmm.
Falco has one opportunity to not make any mistakes here. If he makes any mistakes, he gets put in an edge guard's position or just straight up dies, depending on what you hit him with. So
Right.
you kind of like take this position to be really aggressive and encroach on all the space where like you could have weighed that straight down right here and be like, okay, I'm gonna play a down tilt mix up here. And then like off this down tilt mix up, I'm gonna like be anticipating full hops, approaching ins, run up grab on him. Like you just kind of like lose all the stage position that you have because you just push in too much when it's not your turn.
That makes sense. Yeah.
You're dead. No, you're not. Probably like 4% more or so. All right, you land on stage. You got the slide off. That's good. Yep. And you're gonna die there. That's just how it's gonna happen. Yep. He runs into it. You get an F smash. Okay. So I mean, there's a really, let me see. It's a really good. Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's gone because this guy got all religious and crazy.
Oh, I remember seeing that video. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
I think I
it.
might know what you're talking about. I think I've seen like a Marth edge rating thing by this channel before. Oh, is this it?
Here we go. Yeah, I'm gonna link these to you. This explains a lot of how to do the flowchart properly with Marth.
Okay. Yeah.
Those will definitely help. But it's essentially a lot of it is really based around down tilt. Down tilt is the primer for everything, where it forces a lot of panicky options and also makes it easier to cover the other ones because you can pretty much ignore one entire section of the offstage plane
Yeah.
and really only focus to options that are coming straight at you or are flying above you.
That makes sense. Oh, actually, could I ask you a question about like I feel like I don't have a great idea of like, and I also know that he's not really exactly good in this situation, but like I feel like I have a tough time, especially as Marth against Falco in when I'm stuck in the corner. And what do you think are like some good go-to options maybe?
It really depends on what he's doing exactly when you're in the corner. I do notice you're a little rough around the edges, rough around the edges when you're getting off the ledge. Just practicing more of your invincible fares, like making sure like you go into like Uncle Punch and like making sure that you're blue when you're actually getting your forward air out because you can invincibly get it out.
Right.
Just improving your ledge dashes overall, making your timings of when you actually choose to get off the ledge not on the same interval. Like you refresh once, then you finally get on, or like you refresh twice. Um, Other things in terms of like fair regrabs, like if your Falco's playing a little too close and they're trying to like literally barrel stuff any option you're doing off the ledge, like fair regrab the ledge is really good at punishing that kind of aggression.
Makes
Um,
sense. Yeah.
Same thing as well as like uh, the hack stash with Marth is like a valuable tool to like just kind of bait out every action because there is a certain zone that appears to be where like Marth has to get onto the stage or do an option, and that zone can be really ambiguous with the actual hack stash itself.
Right.
Um, it's not really like one specific tool; it's like an entire flowchart. Like there is a no impact lane that you can do from the ledge based on like you dip down low from the ledge, then you double jump at a certain timing, and you just kind of hold in, and you'll just be standing, and you can shield out of that. Martha's
Mhm.
just pretty not good on the ledge, so it's just really about being versatile in the options that you choose and not just sticking to one because no matter how good an option is, which Marth doesn't really have tremendous options off the ledge, no matter how good an option is, if your opponent knows that you're going to exactly do it, it's not good to begin with because The game does not have solve situations where like one option is pretty much unbeatable.
Yeah.
If I know you're going to ledge dash nair as fast as you can, as far as you can with Fox, I can beat it every time by literally just doing as simple as a 4-year-old like runaway F smash.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, good to know.
Okay. Ooh, got knocked up. Yep. So in this position, what you should have done in this spot is a more stationary fair where you land in this space with a tipper, and then you
Uh,
can do other things. Like you could do an instant short hop there to cover like his short
yeah.
hop aggression. You could run up grab if you think he's going to shield. You could roll through if you think he's going to push through in this space and you don't have enough time to defend yourself with a nair. You could shield. So if he hits you again, you just grab the ledge and we go again.
Right.
Um, a lot of those options can be strung from that kind of forward air. The fact that you pushed in so closely with such a high fair just left you vulnerable to getting counter hit.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Back air. Back air. Yep. Okay. Oh, you almost had it. Just did it a
Yeah.
little too quick. Good up tilt. Ooh. Nice. I like the attempt. Mm-hmm. There, I honestly would have stayed shielded.
Yeah.
It's a
I kind
hard
of.
it's a hard timing the beat.
Yeah. I'm at 130 on my last stock too.
You had to be in a more proactive position to beat it. Good ums attack.
Yeah. I kind of tried to fight for the ledge
Oh, good
again.
ledge dash.
Thanks. Yeah, I think I kind of tossed the game a bit. I just.
Oh no.
Yeah, I got it, but then
Oh,
I
fair's too
choked, I
much in.
think.
So you had the good short hop, but you should have just been
Mhm.
stationary with this fair because he can't enter your space, but you're going into his.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So you hit this fair mad high, get shield grabbed. Oh, and then you get lasered. Yep, that's game. Yep. Um, yeah. So I mean, a lot of it is pretty much the same story, just different flavors of it.
Mhm.
Like I don't think necessarily there was like a lot to digest. I think it was a lot of the same stuff. And the more and more you'll watch it when you're being cognitive about your improvement, like pretty much just saying, this nair that I did, is it actually impacting like my opponent? Is it being impactful in the game? Um, because honestly, with a lot of nairs that you did them at spacings where like the goal of nair is to pretty much stuff out aggression or barrel stuff your opponent with
Yeah,
aggression to set up mix-ups for like run up grab. And then fair is like a lot better at battling out excuse me, at battling out like a lot of mid to short range engagements or even like full hop interactions.
right. Yeah, that makes sense.
But that's the dealio.
You said that the this was getting recorded as well, right?
Yep. Let me go ahead and stop that now.